That's a good idea.
And we're very pleased to welcome the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. Governor, welcome. Great to have you with us.
Steve, it's great to be with you. Excited to talk sports with you and big fan of your work. So thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So as you know, Jack Ham and I will go into our 26th season starting tomorrow at Penn State. So my question is, because Jack is a proud son of Johnstown, you were around that Johnstown softball team. How thrilled were you for them, but also at the same time, what did it mean to you to meet them?
So it was incredibly special for me to meet them, not just as a proud governor, to be able to say that we brought home the Softball World Series here to Pennsylvania from this wonderful team in Johnstown. But I got to tell you, as a dad to four kids who I coached in various sports when they were younger, it was incredibly special for me to see the relationship that their coach, Les Gaunt, had with his players, including one who was his daughter, and to see these kids be able to perform at the highest level and achieve something so early on in their lives that they'll be able to take with them. I thought it was just really special and really remarkable. And so as a dad, it was special to see. As a governor, I was proud to see it, and I got the chance to hang with the team at the Little League World Series last weekend at the championship game in Williamsport. And it was just so fun to be around them. They're just wonderful girls, and they're going to do great things in life, and they've got an amazing chapter already in their lives that they can draw upon as they go forward.
Yeah, I'm like you. I have 5, and I did the same thing. I coached for 14 years. Poorly, but I coached for 14 years.
I told Coach Gaunt, that he is a far better coach than I ever was. But still, I mean, you know this as a dad, the thrill to be able to get out there and spend that quality time with your kids and to be able to coach them like that, I don't know. I just look back on that as one of the most important times in my life as a father.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And it's not just as you're going through and you're coaching your kids and you're getting closer to them, which you did, of course, and I did the same thing. But you get close to the other players on the team, and they stay in touch with you. I'm sure, Josh, with you, they stay in touch with you.
I got to say, I was walking in a parade for July 4th this year, and one of these kids comes running off like the sidewalk there, right?
Yeah.
And says, "Governor, you coached me in, this year, whatever." Meanwhile, I coached that kid when he was like in 5th grade. He's now a giant, right? He's like towering over me. And he's like a grown man. And I thought to myself, wow, how about that? The fact that kid remembered that I was his coach was really special to me. So, yeah, it's not just the ability to spend that quality time with your own kid, but to help other young athletes develop at a young age. It's really special.
From that perspective, and also from the perspective of junior high, high school, and into college, what do you think being a part of a sports team means to the growth of young people in this state?
I think it is vitally important. And look, I'm a sports guy. I love to play everything. I love to watch everything. And so I'll answer the question on sports, though I think you could draw it out and say the same thing about theater, about art, about music.
Yes, please.
But I think there's something special about sports that allows people to be together, to communicate with one another, even when they're from different walks of life or have different views on life or on politics or what have you. I think sports is still like a universal language, whether you're playing it or whether you're sitting in the stands at a game watching it. I mean, you think about when you got damn near 100,000 people sitting at Beaver Stadium. It's a whole lot of people with different views sitting next to one another, but they all are singular in their focus on cheering for Penn State. I think sports is necessary in our world to bring us together and give us a language that we can all communicate around. And so I don't want to obviously I'm not trying to be political by any stretch, but I think we can all agree, we're in some divided times. And I think sports gives us the ability to find ways to come together. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think we need more of it in our lives.
And you're also right about theater and all the other walks that bring people together. But there's something about a sports locker room. And I've talked to James Franklin about this. I talked to Joe Paterno about this many times. It's amazing what a locker room does where you're all wearing the same uniform and all the other stuff doesn't mean anything except you're just one group.
There's no question. I think if you look at the great coaches that we've been fortunate to have here in Pennsylvania, you mentioned two of them, Joe Paterno and of course, Coach Franklin. But you think about Jay Wright at Villanova, right? Jay. Or before that, John Chaney at Temple University, right? I hate to leave anybody out, but we have had these coaches at the collegiate level be able to create community in a way that helps people not see their differences but find their commonality. And I think that that's an important lesson, whether you're talking about youth sports like the Little League teams we were just talking about or the traveling teams you and I used to coach with our kids. I think it's really important to find ways to find that common ground, and sports does it.
Yeah, no question. I'm glad you mentioned Jay, and I'm glad you mentioned John Chaney, because all the conversations, Governor, I had with John over the years, John did a lot to help people that may not have had the ability to get into a college right away, and then he got them degrees by using basketball, and that's what John Chaney was able to do.
There's no question, and there's just no question about that. I went to Fran Dunphy's final game at LaSalle. I would put Fran Dunphy in that column. Obviously, Agreed. He didn't win to the degree that Jay Wright won at Villanova, but I would argue, what he did for his players was just as important. And I remember watching him go through that final game, happy for him as a man that he could now move on to the next chapter in his life, but kind of sad that it was the end of an era in Philly basketball, in our coaches. Now, we've got the next generation coming along, right? At Penn State, you got Rhodes and Franklin and others who I think are doing the same thing. They're obviously in the earlier stages of their career, but I think it is just really important that we celebrate coaches who are able to do that kind of, mentorship and creating community with their players.
I think I would say you and I are a couple of GSD guys getting stuff done.
For sure.
Okay. You do what I call management by walking around. You go all over the state. You are not in the office all the time. What have you picked up from the people of this state just by talking to them and their passions in life, their passions about sports, things like that have really resonated with you?
I think oftentimes when people see their elected leaders, they see them in a position of speaking to them, right? Maybe they're behind a microphone giving a speech, or they're at a community meeting giving a speech. Part of the reason why I like to get out of the office and get around Pennsylvania as much as I do is because I like to be an active listener. When I show up in communities and get the chance, not in scripted settings, but in an environment where you can really listen, that's where I learn the most from people. That's where I see their faces kind of rise and fall on the things that I say, and I'm able to learn from them the things that are worrying them, that are on their mind. I think what's remarkable, frankly, is just how similar what I hear from people is, notwithstanding how different the terrain looks, right? Rural, urban, suburban communities. The folks just kind of want the basic things, right? They want their kids and grandkids to get a great quality education. They want to live in a safe community. They want to have economic opportunity in a place that they love. And it's always been remarkable to me as I listen to people, just how similar the themes are, even though the communities look really, really different. And by the way, I'll tell you, some of the places I go to get the real deal from people are things like not sitting at the game at Penn State, maybe in one of the suites or whatever where they'll stick me, but going out to the tailgate beforehand and just wandering around and talking to people.
No, the SMU game, I saw you down in the field high-fiving the student section. I saw that.
I love that. But what I'm looking for is just kind of the unvarnished, yo, Gov, let me tell you what's on my mind. And you get that at the tailgates, man. You really, really do. It's pretty special.
Yeah, I go to tailgates. I get a lot of questions. Hey, Steve, what did they call that for? I'm like, hey, look, man, I just called again. Look, this is a state that has a Super Bowl champion. a Final Four team last year in football in Penn State, national champion in volleyball, Final Four team in Pitt in volleyball, national champion in wrestling. We know what Villanova's done all the way through. We talk about.
Don't forget hockey.
Hockey.
Weren't we in the Frozen Four there?
Frozen Four, and I just saw Guy Godowski last night, and the 31st they're going to play 2 hockey games at Beaver Stadium. Okay?
Yeah, it's cool.
Really January. Cool. But we talk at the university that football is not the university, but it's the front porch. And you have the ability to say, oh, it's a pretty nice front porch. Let's take a look at the property. In some ways, are Pennsylvania sports helping, not completely the front porch, but helping the front porch of Pennsylvania look pretty good?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'd never heard that term before, but I think it's the right one. It is the front porch. It may be the way people kind of see the facade of Penn State, and they go, boy, that looks really cool, right? Hockey, wrestling, volleyball, football, of course. I got high hopes for Coach Rhodes and the basketball team this year, too. So I think the porch gets you to look inside. And then, oh, my God, you look inside the greatest agriculture school, I think, in the country, top research institution in the country. They're leading on AI on so many different fronts. I am so bullish on Penn State and the academics there. I think Neely's doing a fantastic job. So, yes, I think the sports do open up people's eyes to Penn State. Now, listen, I'd be lying to you if I said that the state of college athletics is healthy. I'm worried about the transfer portal. I'm worried about the NIL. I'm worried about this sort of arms race with money that, starts to de-emphasize the scholar athlete and just focus on the athlete. And I'm not by any stretch blaming Penn State for that. I think that is a more universal challenge. I think Pat Kraft is doing his best to work through that process, and I admire his leadership. But I think it is important that we get this under control so that front porch can be inviting and turn people on to Penn State, but that we maintain the notion of scholar athletes and young people who come to get not just a great sports experience, but an amazing education.
And that's what I've talked about all the time. 97 to 98% of student athletes do not go pro. The education is the critical part that sets them up for the rest of their lives. Governor,
there's no question.
Absolute pleasure. When you're done up here at a tailgate, Jack Ham and I say, hey, come on, stop by and say hi to us. We'd really appreciate it.
Man, I would love that. We got some great games coming up this season. Obviously, hopefully, Nevada will not be a great game. It'll be a blowout, and then Florida International and Nova. But then it really gets exciting when Oregon comes in late September, and would love to get up there and, come join you guys in the booth and spend some time with you. I think what you do is super exciting. And listen, back to the first part of our conversation, you're bringing a lot of joy to people, and you're bringing a lot of people together who otherwise wouldn't find common ground in these challenging times. And so I appreciate what you guys do, and I appreciate the way you've been doing it at a high level for so long, and look forward to spending some time with you as the season progresses.
Governor, it's a privilege for us and for me. Thank you so much for your valuable time today. This was part of your walking around tour. You just did it on the phone.
I love it. I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks so much. Governor Josh Shapiro, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, joining us. Big sports fan, and you can tell by the way he was so well-versed on everything, right? He walks the walk, he talks the talk when we talk about sports, and it was very enjoyable for me. It was a conversation and not just an interview. We will come back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.